Yeah, it was why you called that goal back. Corey.
Oh, I know. I'm so glad we're here. It was clean. It was clean, man. It was clean, but it was you know how it is.
You said it was questionable.
No, I mean, listen. This is the thing about driving before the camera gets. All right, so we're all on the same page because I don't want you guys to think I'm just a straight up asshole. I'm not a cheater.
Yeah, we don't dwell on it, but I was like, damn, that was clean.
It was so clean. I
though.
saw it plain as day. But number one, you guys are kicking their fucking ass. Right? Number two, that fucking ball, you could not see that ball. And as a driver, that's even worse than not seeing it as a player because when you're driving, if you miss the call, everybody on your team is fucking pissed.
Like,
right? And then if you make the right call, everybody on the other team is fucking pissed. So it's, you know what I mean? It's stressful.
That's fair.
And I saw that it bounced. You know what I mean? And I didn't see for sure it bounced off the stick, but I know it did because your hands were on the sticks. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it hit like this far away from your hand. Okay, like close. And it went up and then you caught it and I was like,
so you can go back and watch it.
I yelled it and then I knew it was the wrong call. But I did it so fast. You can't take that shit back.
Yeah,
I knew I fucking felt bad. And then you even hear Didi say, don't apologize to him, because I was like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I knew it was the wrong call. And it wasn't just because it was you. You know what I mean? It was just, we were getting our fucking ass kicked, man.
I think it was Seth or somebody that came back and they were like, Martins even fucking said, damn, my bad. And I was just like,
but you have to stand on. I know one thing about driving, and that's when you fucking call, well, yeah, you call it like you mean it.
Yeah,
you know
that's fair. That's fair. You gotta stick behind it.
Yeah,
but
man. I knew it was wrong, man. I was like,
picked it up, missed it. And then it hit just not the cup, it hit the stick. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it bounced to so high.
And then I went back, I was like, oh, wow, you got the B shit.
Like, oh, yeah. Even fucking Corey looked at me like, I was like, immediately, I was like, damn, that's fucked up. But, you know, like, fuck it, man, I did it. You know what I mean? Like,
that shit was funny, though. It was a good year. It was a good, I mean, aside from the other shit, but, I mean, for the most part, it was a good, clean year.
Yeah.
For the rest of the time, you know.
Harley did a lot better this year.
He did.
You know what I mean? He did.
For sure.
I don't know. All the people watching didn't have any idea that, you know, him and that guy kind of had some beef from Oklahoma. You know what I mean? But that guy got the best of Harley. Then Harley got mad at me at the water because he was like, you letting him fucking punch me in the back of the head? And I went, I thought you handled it well. You know? He got pissed off, man. He's fucking mad as fuck.
Well, you were eating him, so you were.
Man, like, you fucking punished that dude in Oklahoma, man. He fucking got you back. You know what I mean? Like, can't be mad.
I mean, to be fair, like, I mean, I don't want to speak too much on it, but he told him, he was like, we'll see you back home, and, you know, the guy was like, okay.
He was ready, though.
So
that big dude was ready.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's what I definitely try to capitalize on whenever I talk about those guys working with them so much, is those dudes can fucking squabble.
Yeah.
Like, actually can fucking squabble.
I noticed every game they played, it was way more physical. They were hitting.
100%.
Everybody was getting, you know what I mean? They just got, you know, it just takes time to be able to get the ball and get the strategy, you know, it just takes time.
I think one of their main things, too, is just realizing how aggressive they can be.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of holdback, right? It's like coming from basketball or from football to basketball, or like from basketball to football, and you're like, well, I don't want to foul him. And then it's like, football, like, tackle this. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that played a part too, because when I went out there, they were kind of holding back on each other.
Yeah, they're not practicing like they're playing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's, you know, you don't need to practice like October mode every single practice, but when it starts getting close to October, you got to turn up. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
Make sure everybody's ready.
Are they having the tribal support behind them of like Western Bend?
I hope it grows, but they're not right now.
So to be completely straightforward, right? The issue in Oklahoma, that little disagreement that happened up there, that kind of gave a little bit of pushback. Me and Tosh Welch actually had a discussion like 4 hours before that took place.
Damn.
And we were sitting at the table, and one of the elders on council was like, wow, that stickball you guys play down there, you know, the little brother war, it's brutal sport, man. Who's that? There's one guy headbutting this other dude, and, you know, it looked like for like no reason. And I look, and I'm like, and Tosh goes, well, he's a real swell guy, that one, you know what I mean? He really will, you know, he'll have your back, and we knew who he was talking about. Yeah. But I was just like, I mean, you know, it's part of the game as well, but and then, Tasha's defending him, and that's fine. Like, obviously, you gotta have your brother's back, and nothing against it. But we went and played, and then that's when all that you were there for that, and it just kind of got a little bit out of hand, and I was just like, wow.
It got way out of hand. It didn't get a little bit out of hand. It got way out of hand.
So then I turn and look at Tosh, and I'm like,
if anybody can explain it well, it's fucking Tosh.
Yeah,
man.
he's got words,
man.
man.
He's super smart, man. Educated. He's got he could line this whole room with degrees, man. You know what I mean? But
for sure,
fuck, man. It made us look bad. It made the hummingbirds look bad. The whole shit in Oklahoma.
It was definitely, it was definitely. It was unfortunate it went down like that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that, that's what it's for. That's what the game's for, though, is to settle disputes like that. Shit happens, and that's, that it was handled, I think everybody can agree that, like, that it was handled appropriately as far as it needed to go. It didn't stem out to, the crowd or after the game. Or I haven't heard anything about it. It was just one and done. So, and that's the whole basis for it. It's the whole foundation for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just like the prime example. But outside of that, I haven't really heard anything else as far as a lot of communal support. But as far as the leadership support, I don't know if they bought more into that.
I think they will. I think it's just going to take time for their tribe to get behind them. You know what I mean? Like, and
they're so spaced out too, though. They're not us. Like one little, all our communities are connected. Like they're like hours
half the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's real spread.
What's the police situation like out there? Is it tribal police, federal?
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I think it's mixed.
I'm proud to say I don't know anything about that.
With like Stickball too,
I'm not
just
got
because
no trouble out there.
The legality side of things. Like here, there's an understanding of like culture and Cherokee and stuff like that. But in Oklahoma, would the state have the same support? Not necessarily the state, but like the tribal government of how things are ran.
I'm kind of surprised that they don't support them more because the indigenous community out there, I feel like, is more indigenous than us. You know what I mean? Like more people speak the language, more people. There's more stomp grounds. There's more ceremony happening. I was genuinely surprised when Mouse was talking about their tribe. They didn't have no backing, like financially, from their tribe. But I also don't know how successful their tribe is financially either. I don't know anything about that.
Do you guys have any idea where they get their income?
I kind of do.
They got a casino.
They do?
Yeah.
At one point it was shut down, though. They lost one of them for some reason. I'm not entirely sure on
Isn't it the one right near where we were playing?
Yeah, right by Walmart.
It's spelled funny.
Yeah, it's right by Walmart, but it's like it's just literally the building, and it's like turned. It's just everything's turned off.
Wait, I know a little bit about that.
It's in Tahlequah.
Wait, shit, maybe not then. I don't know. So UKB borders Cherokee Nation in that area, and so UKB opened up a casino, right, to get some revenue going for themselves because Cherokee Nation had one. I don't know what happened, but Cherokee Nation like backtracked and found out that the land that their casino was on was actually Cherokee Nation land or something, and like shut their casino down, bro. Like,
okay,
so both Cherokee,
like
but two different.
Because it kind of is in the center, like it's kind of just like boom, and then like UKB is kind of back there in the nook, and it's also like divvied up with these other buildings that are Cherokee Nation, and it's kind of weird right in that space.
Yeah,
so
their population is way more than ours too, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's also due to them dropping the requirement.
Yeah. More people look white out there. I liked it. No. I felt like, more accepted.
Let me see you on Instagram. Let me see if you got the guts.
Welcome back to Uktena Underground. You already know what it is, man. It's Corey J. And we have two returning guests with us, man. Rob and Levi. Welcome back, man.
Thank you.
How have you guys been?
Great.
Good. Good.
Busy.
Yeah, busy. Yeah. Busy is the word, I feel like,
So what's been going on since the last time we talked to you? We'll start with you, man.
Let's see. I don't know.
Anything big? It's cool if it's just life happening, man.
There is one big thing that I get to be a part of, and that's so I was in that Gadua Ways, which is a second tier of Right Path. Are you guys familiar with Right Path?
We're familiar with it.
So I did the Gadua Ways, which is the second year program, and in Right Path you do a group project. It's super fun. But in Gudua Ways, you got to do an individual project.
Okay.
And so mine isn't happening until next week. But I already graduated from the program. But it was right at stickball time when we graduated, so I was waiting till after all stickball was done. But I'm going to be speaking at the middle school to the whole middle school about the dangers of drugs and alcohol addiction, as well as mental health. So that's like highlighting the Cherokee core value of educating the children, and I'm super pumped about that.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the drug abuse and that thing is taking a real big toll on our communities and communities around the world. But I think one thing that kind of still slips between the cracks is mental.
Yeah.
Your mental health. Especially us being indigenous, it really does terrorize us like a lot.
Yeah. So I can't say for the specific things, but we're at the hospital, like we constantly have juveniles in the emergency room for suicidal ideation, which is like, that's not a suicide attempt, but that's saying like, I'm thinking about it, like I want to hurt myself. One good thing is that these kids are speaking up to somebody because they're bringing them to the hospital.
Right.
But where we're lacking is we don't have a facility to treat juvenile youth for this specific reason. So that's something that hopefully the hospital and the tribe in the future can get together. But it's very relevant in our community, big time. It's serious.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's a good thing that someone's actually taken the time to address those things and make it more or less their priority as far as like solely focusing on that. Yeah. Because there's a lot of different traits that need to be addressed as far as our community goes.
Yeah.
And for you to take that initiative to address that head on and kind of solely focus on that leaves like other things for people to also take into account and solely focus on that and solely focus on this. And then, it's all working together as far as that goes. So that's good, man. Yourself, Levi?
Same stuff. History.
Lazy as shit.
You know what I mean? Doing everything last minute. I just won the Analenisgi art market, the fashion show and all that stuff. I got best of show in that, which was really cool. So
that's what's up.
How was that?
Yeah.
How was that whole event?
We ended up missing that. So, but we meant to.
I missed the fashion show and everything. We went down to Florida. Our oldest ran his conference championship down there, so it was like
the weekend
of. They won. Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, they did good. So they get to go to nationals in like 2 weeks. Then we did the Disney thing. We did one day at Disney, and then we went to a Bucks game. So
yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend. So I'm still tired.
That's
what's
up.
Oh, that was all just this weekend, isn't
it? Yeah.
Oh, all of that this weekend?
All of it. Yeah.
You broke, huh?
I won some money from the art show, so I was like, damn, I really needed that. Like, that
so it was real fun.
Yeah.
I'm dead. That's what's up, though. That's dope.
Swiping card, man.
I'm dead. You was feeling like somebody. You was like,
yeah.
Just put on my card, man.
Yeah.
It'd be from Mountain Credit.
Calling me up. Hey,
swiping it like an Amex, though.
Are you supposed to be? Are you actually down there spending this money? Or is it somebody steal your card? I said, no, it's me.
This is legit. FaceTime.
No.
You're retracting that thought. See your bank account. You're like, oh, matter of fact, it wasn't me down there, man. It's fraud, yo.
Actually, I got this credit card debt I need to pay. Yeah.
That's jokes, though. All right. Well, that's what's up, man. So, first and foremost, everybody's been asking me this one question. We had conflicting views on it as far as our discussion went, and then our discussion went, right? So just to dive right into it, and then we can fan out from there. But one of the biggest questions that we had was recovery compared to recovering, or recovered to recovering. Right? Recovered. Past tense. Like once I feel like I can handle myself and I'm recovered.
Yeah.
Versus
then it's done versus
always being in recovery. Recovering.
Remember how we had that conversation and you thought, or your opinion was that I feel like we're always in recovery.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't use the word recovered. You know what I mean? Like I'm trained by like the mentality that I'm going to be an addict for the rest of my life, whether I'm using or not, right? So, but that's a big debate, and I like that we could have that. I feel like this is a solid group to have any kind of debate with because I feel like we're all cool. But I never use the word recovered like that, you know, like because I feel like And the mentality that I learned, like coming up through all the different rehabs and stuff I went through, is like, you're recovered when you die clean and sober. Like when my life is done and I made it, like that would be the only way I would like think of the word recovered, you know?
Okay.
But I feel like you guys are saying it like, I'm recovered. Now I could do this or I could do that. Is that what?
More or less.
Yeah.
Cause like, so I guess to go about it, right? One of the conversations that I'd had was feeling like, or an individual feeling like they weren't always fighting that addiction. That once they kind of mastered that, okay, I have control of myself and I've gained this kind of control, I can go and have fun this way and this way. I just have to be cautious about how I go about it and when to stop, knowing when to stop, you know?
So
they felt like they were recovered compared to one of the things, and I want to kind of quote it from our last conversation. You were talking about Applebee's. You're like, if I go to Applebe's today, it's like, you know, we're fucking having fun, you know, and that's just gonna be like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So don't get me to turn up because I'll turn out.
Right. You know? It's definitely like just having that conversation. I was like, damn, that's actually a good fucking question to ask, and we kind of missed that, but it was brought up through that podcast.
Yeah. So I feel like, and I use, it's like, it's okay to say that you drink, right?
Yeah.
You know, okay. So it's cool that we're sitting here having this conversation because I actually use his name constantly. I use Slee's name, like when I'm talking about people that turn their life around. So in my mind, I say Levi has completely turned his life around, which he has.
Mm-hmm.
Because he gets to drink from time to time when he wants to, and he can handle that. And that's great. I support that. But in my mind, like that, I don't feel like that's not in recovery, but you have definitely turned your whole life around. But when I use the word recovery, I think of it like sobriety, not partaking in those things, which doesn't take, when I don't want to take nothing away from Levi because I 100% support, that's my bro, you know. But when I use the word recovery, that's typically the mindset that I have is like, for me, it's like complete abstinence, you know what I mean? For me. But I also don't ever put, that's just for me, you know, and you have to be very like, this is how I feel, you know what I mean? Like, cause whatever your path is, that's your path and I got you. It's just like if somebody was on Suboxone or methadone, I would never say you're not in recovery, you know what I mean? Cause that would be wrong. You know what I mean? Like those drugs save those people's lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
And so I always keep an open mind, especially working in the recovery field. I could never be like one-sided about any of this, you know, always open to debate and stuff like that about it.
And I feel like recently too, that's always kind of been, or it's kind of become a reoccurring theme of individuality, right?
Yeah.
I did a podcast yesterday with a couple individuals I do Muay Thai with.
Oh, yeah?
They were talking about the individuality and they went a little bit deeper, obviously, and we were talking about, for all I know, you guys could be fucking plants and like, you know, just not really real to me, you know, and it'd just be something in my own mind on the simulation. But it was talking about that individuality of I was born alone, I'll die alone, you know. What affects me or how I developed over time growing up is how I developed.
Yeah.
Me and you could have saw the same thing at the same time, at the same age. Definitely take two different paths with that. Yeah. Me and my brothers had this conversation before. Yeah. Plenty of times. Yeah. And how like different things or the same thing that we saw affected us differently. And we go about those different. Yeah. Right. Even though most of the time growing up, we were together. Like 90% of the time we were in the same room. Like we were just always together. Yeah. We still took different paths as far as addressing certain situations.
Oh, big time. So two different people take two different paths.
And, right. You know, so we do understand and recognize that like addiction's going to affect you completely different than it would affect me, then it would affect him, then it affected you, you know. So definitely
yeah, that's a good example too, especially with you two, because it's like, you know, like you see maybe two people come from like say broken house, and then one of them goes to Harvard and the other one's like in prison, you know. It's like, and they went through the same traumas and were raised the same way, but they both end up completely different. That was always really interesting to me when I was taking psychology courses and stuff. I was like, and then you think of examples and people you know, and you're like, I wonder what they did different. No, I didn't do anything different. Like,
We need to start recording ourselves more, having those conversations, because we'll have them and we'll be out there at the dinner table, and it'll be like an hour and a half in, and we're like, should be recording it all the time, right? Yeah. Because one of them too was like the pressure to please, obviously our higher ups, right? Grandma, mom, and you guys know our parents, right?
Yeah.
So they've done amazing things, and it's like the pressure for us to please them and satisfy them in a sense of they're proud of us.
Yeah.
And it was like, he worked his ass off, and I'm going to school, making great grades, fucking Harvard, no, acceptance rate too low. Stanford, tired of that. Shooting for the stars. Where I was just like, you know what? I'm aggressive. I'm angry. How could I play both sides here?
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm gonna go to Army, I guess. Fucking fighting all the time. Yeah, sign me up. Yeah. So, and then like mom was proud of me for that. Kazik was like, at school, if you feel comfortable for me talking about that, but he's at school and he's like, I'm here, and mom's proud of me for being at school, and then we both kind of come to this realization, like, but are we happy?
Yeah,
that was kind of a big question of like, you can only live so far, there's so much, and then you got to start living for yourself.
Oh yeah, big time, big time, and it's hard even if you're like a successful young person, like a teenager, especially. I don't know of too many people at that age, like let's say 16, 17, 18, 19, that know who they are, right? Like you really don't know who you are at that time. Like I feel like for most people that happens later on, you know what I mean? Like, it takes time to like realize who you are and what you want and where you want to go, all those kind of things,
So, but, I was talking to Corey last night about this, is with Cherokee specifically, you have the expectations of the community and like the communal values with the family and whatnot. But when you take that individual path, I guess, in pursuit of, I want to say money, there's a separation of like values and how to get to these different end goals.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like, for example, like to become like the best, like let's say Wall Street banker, you can't live in Cherokee. You can't do anything really. And you have to not necessarily accommodate, but adopt certain value traits that make you successful in that world. Yeah. And there's a separation you have to make.
Yeah. That's definitely going to separate you from like core values that you learned. Yeah. Well, a lot of us learned the wrong core values. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the problem with core values, is they're ideals about life that don't even belong to you. You know what I mean? Like, I used that as an example when I talk to people about it in recovery, because like, why do you put all the cleaning supplies under the sink? Like we all do that, right? I bet if you go in any kit, and that's because somebody before
right
you
out
did
the
that.
gate, though, I'm like, that's where it belongs, man.
See, where else would you put it? You put it under the sink. But why do we do that? You know what I mean? Like, because somebody else did it. But then you get these core values that are planted in your head that you don't even plan about. So let's say you're a kid and your dad is never at home because he's always working, right? He's always out making money, working. And so they have a bad marriage. So the home life is not so great because your dad secretly, without even knowing it, you're already formulating in your head that money is bad and it won't be happy. You know what I mean? Like, so it's little things like that that gets, ideals about life that aren't even our own. Like, unfortunately, that's like racism. Lots of racism is because one of your parents might be racist and they teach you that. All these are all like learned things about life. Like the biggest ideals we have about life most of the time don't even belong to us. There's somebody else gave us that ideal. True. And then you don't learn about that until you become a full-blown adult. Then you learn like, okay, I don't like this. Or like spanking your kids. It's not really like, I feel like that's not such a big thing anymore, like it used to be when we were kids. Like that whole
definitely not
changed.
And it's like, I mean, I got kids, and I'm like, when I whoop my kid, I'm like,
yeah, you feel.
I mean, you feel bad, but I'm like, there's a reason for it. Yeah, and then like, damn, did anybody see that?
But here's the
judging the fuck out of me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh damn, they're probably like, police is on their way, probably beating his kid. And I'm like, well, he done threw a glass jar across the room, so. But it's
they're
like
better. They're not acting up. Like when you see other kids and you're out public and you're like, and do something about your kid. Like,
Yeah,
you can't just let them act like that.
your kids.
Right.
You have to. But I feel like when they're toddlers, right, you have to spank to kind of pop them. Like, don't touch that fire. That's how
Yeah.
I pop. Right. That's not. But I'm talking about like full blown spankings.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like 7, 8, 9
Fly
years old.
spots
There ain't no
breaking
point in that no more. You know, I got to ground them. Take away the cell phone. Take away this. That's a
Yeah.
much more effective punishment. I feel like these days. Whereas when I was a kid, it was like, you messed up. All right. You know, go get a switch, or you know.
I still think it's obviously it's still situational, but I still think to a certain extent, because I mean, as far as I can remember, it was always the fear of that pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, damn, I'm about to get my ass handed to me when I get home. That shit hurts,
Yeah.
bro. And then like there was a time period where it was like, not only did I get my ass handed to me, but Xbox is gone. I'm in my room,
I'm
no
in
phone.
trouble.
I'm like, now I'm gonna be hurting and bored, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then obviously, like, you kind of get to that bigger stage, and you're kind of too big to whoop, and they're like, "Yeah, give me all your shit." And it's like, so I think it's still to an extent reasonable.
Yeah, it is.
But-
you know what I mean? Like there's a as long as it's not child abuse, I feel like, you know, that's okay. I don't spank my kids. They're too big. You know
There's a
what I mean?
couple ways to look at it, like the feedback loops you're giving your kids, and also understanding the individual child within themselves and how they respond.
Oh yeah, see,
Because like
that's
having multiple kids, you can't treat them all the same because they're different kids, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And taking that time to understand how to, I guess, interact with each one.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely make a point to try to explain why, because there's a lot of times like I did get in trouble, and I was like, why? Like, why the fuck did I just get my ass handed to me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But and not that like I never understood or it was like unnecessary, but I would have, in a perfect world, I would like to still understand. Like, at that moment, it would have been nice to know why.
Prime example, our younger brother, we were like 7, he was probably like 11, and he got a hold of like a steak knife outside and like cut his thumb.
Yeah.
And then we got beat for it, and we're thinking, what the hell we getting our ass for? He's the one who cut his thumb outside cutting grass with a steak knife. Like,
But when you think about it now, does it make sense?
Still no.
No.
I mean, like, I think I want to say this is how I kind of explained it. Not that I've ever dwelled on that, but I know what he's talking about because we've had this discussion before. But funny story actually. Like when I was a kid, right? When we were kids, my granddad took this fucking piece of plywood, put a rope on it, and nailed the rope, and then took a piece of a belt that he cut. And then nailed that to it as well. Bent the nails in, and that was a fucking shield, my boy. So I'm running around with this fucking wooden shield on my arm.
in
Yeah.
the woods.
That's a
behind
nice.
us.
And the other
that was
hand-
probably fun.
Yeah, I had a stick, and like you find a strong enough stick, I put duct tape on the end of it. But that's a sword, my boy. You know what I'm saying? And what movie had just come out, or recent, or a little
Probably
bit before
like
that?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings was always popular. 300.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah. So,
Having fun.
but I think what it was is like, this stick's not cool, man. There's a steak knife about this long.
Oh man.
And it's not like one of those like
Once you get
sharp,
at the
like,
granny's kitchen at the end.
yeah,
of
like
the
it's circled at the end and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's
that's
not
a
like
real. That's a mini sword.
right. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't like fall and stab myself with this. It's cool. Like it's not a pointy whatever, but it'll cut and it's like, ka-cha, you know. So I'm like,
makes noises.
cool. And I think what happened was somehow at some point I left it out there, and Jace gets outside.
How old was he?
4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
something like
So he's
that.
Yeah.
just dropping grass like, and then,
Yeah.
ka-chink. And then he's like, thumbs all cut up.
Oh, you guys.
Hanging
Yeah.
off, like,
Yeah, so that's why I think it happened. But I'm like, I was playing with that thing 2 days ago. It's like, so yeah, but like situations like that, though. I mean, obviously it's not intentional, but I would definitely. I go about it now as trying to make sure I explain why this is bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of like obedience in its like purest form.
Yeah.
I had this discussion actually at work the other day. I work at the dispensary now.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
It's real flexible as far as me being able to do this as well and meet some interesting people over there.
Yeah.
Like, I actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That place
it's
seems
almost like
always
working-
busy.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
And it's almost like working at the casino. Like he's gonna talk about meeting people at the casino as well, dealing cards.
Yeah.
You just have these crazy little conversations and they just kind of stick. But Damn, where was I going with that? One of the questions that we had, or what they had, was the generational change from where, like, grandparents, right? They tell you to do something, they expect you to do it, and don't ask any fucking questions, right?
Yeah.
Do it now, get it done, or you're gonna an ass beating or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that although it, I guess, may have been effective at the time to create obedience and model citizens, is what the point was.
Yeah.
I think it would have benefit more to teach as to do this now because dun.
I think also it's a reflection of the time period in the decade that it occurs and where they grew up, right? With, for example, being indigenous in the 60s and 70s, completely different compared to now, or even like any other race but white.
Yeah,
like
definitely is different.
So how the world views them as adults walking through life, that kind of translates on how they want to teach you how to be obedient, to be, I guess, not killed or not beaten or whatever else.
Right. That makes sense. I guess, like, I think we were trying to tie it back into, like, the generational change and how generation now, like, younger people, even younger than us, more like your age, are asking those questions as to why, but it's a more aggressive form because... I mean, I don't know. Kind of like a combative in a way, like a pushback.
Oh yeah, like a argument.
Yeah, like
right?
it's less of like a genuine like, well, why? It's more like, no, the fuck.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I think phones have a lot to do with it.
Yo, it's definitely a different time to being a kid now. Totally different than when we were kids.
Like,
I feel like
just the access to whatever they put their hands on, like, it's crazy.
100%.
That's gotta be connected to mental health too. You know what I mean? Because it's like like the image of what you feel like the image, like what I think of when if I think of how I'm supposed to be, or or I'm supposed to look like this, or I'm supposed to look like that. I feel like that is like heavy on kids' mind these days versus when I was a kid. It was
Well,
there was no internet or anything.
Even the topic of like, to give you some background on this, so I sat in on a psychologist. No, he was a psychiatrist talking about whatever he was talking about. It was like an hour-long like sit-in. But basically what he was saying is the increase in self-harm with like little like teenage girls and then adolescent girls. Yeah. Seeing the image of like beauty and like what they should like be looking like with like celebrities and stuff. So with like phones, there's a direct like correlation with the increase of self-harm with kids having access to phones. Yeah. Yeah. And taking it into consideration like with your own children and how you want to like have that relationship, because technology is here, it's going to stay. How do we build a healthy relationship with that? Yeah. That's a good question and a good ideal, because it's not going anywhere. You're 100% right. You know, and like kids know all about technology. You know what I mean? Yeah. 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 Ties it back into another thing, like they're not the idea that they're not going away, and how do we make it a part of our lives? And what you're talking about, like those values and stuff like that, is like thinking like how we're living as Cherokee people, and it's this constant struggle and mental health and the drugs and like all these things. It's confusion. It's like it's because we're not living like we're supposed to. Right? Like we know we're supposed to be living. So now, like, how do we incorporate technology into? Maybe it can help us bring those things back. You know what I mean? I talked with somebody recently. They're doing a project for kids, like a cartoon or something, and it told one of the legends or a place story about it. And I was like, that's cool, because then I can let my kid watch that, right? Like instead of watching Bluey or Huggy Wuggy or whatever. You know what I mean? All that, like, let's let it. You know, that would be cool to have access to that, and make it normal, I guess. Yeah, to normalize it, most definitely. Yeah, actually, that would be probably one of the prime answers for that, or prime solutions for that issue. Did you see where they were doing Lord of the Rings? What? No. What? Yes, bro. They were doing a Lord of the Rings like like a voiceover. Yeah. All in Cherokee. Oh, that's cool. That's crazy. What was it, Adult Learner, that program, those guys? I don't know if it was out there in Cherokee Nation or if it was somewhere here or...
I can't fucking remember,
That's
but I'll have to
funny.
pull it up. And it might not even be Lord of the Rings, but I'm pretty sure it's fucking
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
It's a
But that's
classic.
like, even just to have that baseline like foundation to where maybe like even AI, right? We don't even have to go back and redo the voices for it.
Yeah.
We could just have it enter the AI and an AI do like, you know, anything you do is fucking, you have it in Spanish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they got it coded to where you can just put it in Spanish. It's like, okay, I could translate all this in Spanish.
The only thing we'll need with that for Cherokee is enough like data for it to run over and to create enough
Like things to
Right.
pick from. And, yeah.
of like Cherokee speakers. And even considering like the variation of like the dialect difference,
Yeah.
we would need a lot of data for it to.
Yeah, that would be
But
really
it's
cool
possible
to watch.
though. It's fucking possible.
Yeah.
We could do it.
Oh, that's what I was thinking too. When you're talking about those values, it's like we're so messed up now that like that's why we can't learn the language because we can't understand it. Like we.
Yo,
You know
we
what I
got the
mean?
mindset
Like,
of
yeah.
an American.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
So
yeah.
like when you're trying to
I
learn
get
the
what you're
language,
saying,
you
yeah.
can't. And it's like even though that actual word doesn't even mean that. Like I don't know how you would teach a kid that, but like as you're talking to them, like somehow it just comes to you and you
yeah.
understand that it doesn't mean. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example, but
Well,
like
it's like the horse, right? Like horse doesn't mean horse; it means like
yeah,
carries
it
on
means
its
it carries
shoulder.
it carries it on its shoulder, or I've even heard it carries the burden. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of open to
The deepness
interpretation.
of the translation is
Yeah.
you know, I think this word means this word means this, you know, like that mindset, which is
yeah,
backwards from how it's really, you know, you're really supposed to like understand, you know. But when I take the time and we talk about things like that, like, okay, this is why it means that. It's like, it always like, you always have that, moment, you know what I mean? But I don't appreciate it like I should. I know that I don't, you know, even
Yeah.
though you have
It's 'cause
that
we don't
moment.
live that way anymore,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yep.
Yeah, I think, Cherokee's supposed to be that first language. I feel like just the way you were describing it, how it's supposed to be, it's very descriptive. And then English on top of that, like it carries on its back in Cherokee. And then it's like, well, that's a horse.
Yeah.
You have to make
Yeah.
a conscious effort every day
Every day.
to learn and live like Cherokee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had this terrible thought, and you're like I just random thoughts as I'm just driving and stuff. But I had this terrible thought, like, Ruff, we don't do something about the language, like they're gonna be mad at you. Like you're the one, you know, your generation. When all the speakers are gone,
Wait, you're
like,
in my generation.
No. There's like a guy.
He's like, but I'm trying.
No, but me too, right? Like there's gonna be like
our generation.
There's like 30 years when
Oh my God.
all the speakers are gone, right? And they've passed, and we have no more first language speakers. It's gonna be like we're gonna catch the blame. Like the younger kids are gonna be like, you all let the language die.
Man.
Like you guys were doing this. It's gonna be bad. They're gonna cuss
Well,
you.
I feel like shit.
No, I do think about that though. I'm just like, what do I do? How do I do more?
Yo, it's tough, man. Like I don't have any suggestions or answers to that, you know, as far as the language, because we're not ever going to lose the language. What we're going to lose is the fluency. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I get that, right? Like there's too much documented.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like the language is going to be there, but the fluency, right? There's not. And first, Cherokee is like
understand
your
it.
first language.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to lose. There's not going to be speakers that learn Cherokee before they learn English in a few more years, right? It's going to be people that learned it after they learned English, which they could still be fluent.
Yeah.
But, you know, I
They
feel
won't
like,
ever understand the language though. The
yeah,
way it's supposed to
not
be.
like it, you know, yeah.
Well, I don't know, maybe, but yeah.
It's
You
tough,
know, it makes me
man.
think about the home life, and like there's a lot of families where the grandparents take care of the grandchildren.
Yeah.
And how that impacts it as well as they get older and start to formulate their ideas about language revitalization.
Yeah. And I think until, you know, all of us care about the language, but man, the commitment that it takes to sit down and learn it, and like you have to choose that every day. You know what I mean? Like that's big. You know what I mean? Like that's why my hats are off always to them the learners at that program. You know, what is it? Clamp?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's a big deal.
Adult
you know what I mean? Like I
learners,
think that's so cool. You know, like I wish that I could afford to go and do that program, but I freaking got bills I gotta pay. You know what I mean? Like you know.
Yeah.
But
talked about that
I think it's
last
so
time, too.
cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Like, they should pay more, though.
They should
Like,
just- yeah.
why are we not
You know,
spending all our money to do these things?
You had a phenomenal suggestion that we kind of briefly discussed, like scratch the surface on,
Yeah.
about the seclusion of a community and just something
oh
they have
yeah,
in
I
Cherokee.
watched that. And
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know.
That one specifically.
Cherokee Nation they started it too. Check it out. It's something's a seed. It has something to do with seed, but
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, I mean, they're doing it, and
It's
it's like, why aren't we
on
doing it?
TikTok.
That's what they
Yeah,
did. Isn't that what they
commented
did
on
in
us.
New Zealand? Isn't that like the big thing was like well, that was an immersion school, and
Yeah.
then we have that, don't we? But I
But
feel
it's
like
not
it's
an
not on a
immersion
big
school
scale.
anymore.
You know, it's not.
No.
No.
Hey, you said they commented on our.
Yeah, the seed thing in
Oh,
Cherokee
really?
Nation.
On
your
podcast?
Yeah.
The seed
Oh,
thing,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit, my bad.
So it's really just what starting one here, like realistically. I mean, if they already have one, right?
Yeah.
We're just kind of like
They have
Really,
the
you
layout
just
in
send out
places.
people to model and like take notes on how they do it, and then formulate something for here. But it's finding the people to work.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's
Just
also
pay 'em,
another
though.
issue.
Yeah.
It's our
Um,
leadership. I don't know what it is.
I think that's kind of also been a very huge, like, because all these problems have other problems that have other problems.
So how do we
and that's why
get to
it's a
the
problem.
root
Yeah.
problem so we can start to
Right.
implement solutions?
Because with that, you said there aren't a lot of workers, right? And it's not, I think, the availability of workers, but it's people committed to work, right?
Mm.
I think, like, across the board in society, like, on the planet today, people are not really trying to go to work. Like, people want to work from home. And,
Yeah.
like, everybody's kind of more or less starting businesses and stuff, like side hustles and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
To do their own agenda.
Mm.
But as far as, like, blue-collared workers and stuff, like, nobody's really wanting to go to a 9 to 5, like,
Yeah.
anymore.
That's true.
So, especially in Cherokee, though, like a lot of the businesses that I've seen, especially going through high school when I did my senior project on creating a business, like a business plan, and that was my whole goal. I was like, oh, I'm gonna start a business, whatever.
Yeah.
One of the problems was like, well, damn, who's gonna work for me?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
nobody,
And
low
then
key, nobody wants to fucking
More
work.
specifically with the language, that even limits the amount of workforce
Oh,
for
yeah.
the language.
Like
right?
the people that you choose to work for,
Right.
you have to be able to speak
'Cause
Cherokee.
if we're
Yeah.
being
you know?
realistic, the majority of the speakers are 60 plus,
Mhm.
Yeah.
elderly. And to put that burden on them to go to work when they should be retired at the house, how do we
Mm.
start to solve that as well?
I have the example.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So don't make it work, like, and don't make it like a classroom, like. But they those speakers would really have to be open
Yeah.
to letting people come and visit them and things and stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
go over there and make breakfast, and every day you're making breakfast, talking about stuff,
Mm.
like, and then whatever they need help with or whatever they're doing, or it's springtime. It's what you guys used to eat, growing
Just
up,
working
like,
around
what'd
the
you do?
house and stores.
Yeah, and, like, that's how you learn it. That's how you're gonna. I think that's how you're gonna learn it.
Yeah.
Is like,
No, it's been proven, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, there's examples out there everywhere, right?
Every
It's like-
child that learns a language.
It's like
in
getting
the
dropped
house.
off.
true,
yeah.
true, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like getting dropped off in I don't know, Mexico somewhere speaking Spanish. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna pick it
you're gonna
up
pick it
if
up.
you're around it enough.
Or you're going to be lonely.
Or you just
Yeah.
it's gonna be that weirdo that's just
That's true,
like
that's true.
you know.
Don't
So-
talk to
Yeah.
him. He don't
that
speak
gringo
Spanish.
over there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I
Man.
didn't teach my kid to talk. I didn't maybe a couple words I tried to get him to say,
They just
but
kind
like,
of pick up on it.
yeah,
you
it just
know?
happened, right? Like, it's like, I don't know if I really tried that hard to make that happen, but
Especially like kids being sponges, right? And they're just kind of
Yeah.
soaking up whatever.
See, that
you know?
ties right into the core values. You know what I mean? Like at that, you're 2,
Oh,
3,
yeah,
4
picking
years
it up.
old. All the information coming into your brain is true, right?
Mhm.
Like think about
True.
somebody was like, "Oh, Santa Claus comes and brings you presents." You're like, "Okay, that's real." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like immediately
Yeah.
believe it, right? But at the same time, if you're like seeing negative things, domestic violence or drugs or alcohol abuse, if those things are coming in, like this is life, this is true, this is how it is.
Yeah.
It's the same time frame.
Um,
That's such a vulnerable time for a child's mind. Like-
Rob, with the work you do, is there like a list of like core values that you guys have, or like it's something that you have your own core values that you kind of translate over or communicate to others?
No, well, like I didn't, of course I know about core values, like as far as like what I was telling you about, as far as that what shape the way you think about
Yeah.
life. But
Yeah.
when I learned about Cherokee core values, I try to implement myself at work I'm also the cultural coordinator on the unit where I work, so I get to use those and teach those. You know what I mean? As far as like stuff to give, I really just share the ideal of it and the concept of it at that stage in recovery, because this is detox where I'm working. But I also work at the rehab, so at Conroe TE, I get to get in more depth with those things, but they are a part of the curriculum that I try to teach. You know,
those are kind of new too, though. You know, they're fairly, the Cherokee core values are fairly new. I can't remember what year they were created, like 2000 something. But
and I didn't learn about them until I was in Right Path. You know, when I did, I was like, oh, I love it. You know, like that's it. You know, that's the answer to a lot of the problems that we have is like if we followed those values. And I feel like it's probably impossible to live like that 24/7, especially because we're modern day, right? But if that's like at the, you know, if that's like what your starting point each day is like, I want to try to do these things, you know, and live like this, like it will make it easier. Like as far as tohi and balance and happiness, I feel like that's going to help push you and keep you in that direction, you know.
We've been asked to maybe have a discussion about Cherokee developing their own constitution.
Yeah.
Right? So the state has one and we go by the state, right? The state constitution?
Yeah, ours is mirrored off the
It's mirrored off of the state constitution. We don't have our own constitution.
So we're a sovereign nation, right? But we don't have our own constitution in it. So definitely that's something.
So that doesn't even sound right in the sentence, you know? So
I know they're working on it. There's an old document too that they had one. I don't remember if it's Cherokee Nation or what, but it's from the like early 1900s, like, or it was the Constitution, but I don't know. I have to send it to you.
I
See what you think.
one of the issues that I've come across, I guess, from talking to people about within council is to develop your own constitution. I'm assuming it would have to be translated into Cherokee for that specific situation. In addition to like going over every page with the council member, every page, marking off, and the time it takes, the time consumption to get the Constitution.
Well, I feel like it's a necessity, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
that's
thinking
kind of
about,
one
like,
of the prime things that
just
need to be done.
The limitations of the leadership and getting them to actually go through it and take the days and weeks and months to get it finalized.
I think it also locks you into things like legally. Like, and you have to be careful with that. Like some of the, I think one of the things that come up with the last time when it come up was that it was basically like taking away council's power and like putting it into like just these like few individuals that were like
that's
on a board
scary.
or something. Yeah, it was kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
yeah. There's complicated. Probably within the wording and
it was weird how they. Yeah.
Well, think about this all the time. That tribal council is going to have what is it called when they make a
referendum?
Yeah, or something like that, and then it doesn't ever happen. You know what I mean? But it's in tribal code or
would that
pass it and they
take away their power because it's in the Constitution? You can't just get up and change it every couple of years.
Well, it was something to do with the way they worded, like when a decision comes in or something like that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like a end all be all, I guess, kind of thing. I don't know.
So there's benefits, but definitely cons to it.
Yeah,
but I feel like I don't know enough about it.
Yeah. I don't either.
That's a good question, when you said it, when Corey said it, I was like, yeah, we need that shit. And then Levi talked, I was no. It's hard to say, man.
We can do without.
Yo, man, I agree. I don't know enough about it to say, but I feel like, just when you would originally think like, okay, we're a sovereign nation, like we should have our own shit.
Yeah. They could bounce ideas off of us, though. The people that know enough about it, like, if they wanted to bounce ideas and throw in some opinions.
Yeah, this is how I feel.
But I don't know enough about it. Like,
Levi and Rob run for chief and vice chief.
That's too much, man. Too much. I like to complain, and I just don't want to do nothing about it. You know what I mean?
I just want to be heard.
Yeah.
No, that's a big deal. To be a true leader, you know what I mean? Like, it's big. You know what I mean? Like, I really like, leadership roles. But, as far as like that's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man, you can't make everybody. I can't even make everybody happy in my living room. Yeah. You know what I mean? Let alone, the tribe,
See the worst of people. Yeah. And those things.
Yeah. But I do feel like, especially, and I think you would agree, like from the life that we came from to how we live now, I feel like that helps us help people and, think about things that we wouldn't, typically think about, like homelessness. You know, a lot of people feel like we don't even have a homeless problem here, and it's major.
Wait,
wait.
Could you elaborate on that? The homelessness?
Yeah.
So I don't know much about it here.
Well, the reason I've been homeless, right? So I feel like I see, the problem, but we don't. It's not like in the city. Like if you go to the city, right, you're gonna see homeless people like sleeping in the alley and stuff. You don't see that as much here, but unless you're looking from that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when Corey said you guys are brothers and you see things differently, right? Like when I see that, I see people that are homeless, you know what I mean? Like you might think they're just walking the roads, but they don't have nowhere to live. You know what I mean? Like,
that makes sense. I was about to go way left and be like, well, we in the mountains. They probably camp. You know what I'm saying? Like, realistically.
Well, even in the city, there's camps, big camps. You know what I mean? Like,
But I mean, just like as far as the city, like you can't like, oh, let me go to the woods over there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But like here, people aren't really like scouring the
Is it
hillside.
true? Tribal police will like kick out homelessness that are not from Cherokee?
I don't know about that.
I don't know
because I've heard that before.
They can't do nothing about if you're right there at Hungry Bear. If you go across the bridge, there's like a big encampment of homeless people there, and they can't do anything about them. Like they well, I don't know. Maybe they can because one of the people that lives near there did say like the cops will show up and they'll all just scatter, like run, but
like roaches.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the mindset of it now too is a lot of harm reduction, right? So like if they were to do something like make them leave from that, they're just going to go somewhere else, or they could, get something bad could happen. I like to think that our tribe, especially with the police, are doing better in that department, but I don't know for sure because I'm not out with the police.
Just to change topics just a tad bit on harm reduction, are you for, against, or indifferent towards like the needle exchange program?
I'm 100% for needle exchange. Yes, you know what I mean. Like it helps people because all right. If I'm on drugs and I'm getting high, bro, I'm gonna get high regardless of if you're gonna help me stay clean or healthy or not. I'm gonna get high. I'm gonna use needles I found on the side of the road. I'm gonna share needles. I'm gonna, do all those things no matter what. But if you're helping me stay clean, you're keeping me alive. And then one day the light might come on and I might say, you know what? I need some help. I'm gonna get clean. So that's how I see harm reduction. Like I'm gonna keep Levi alive long enough to hopefully he changes his life around. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't see it as enabling at all. You know what I mean? I really feel like it could help people.
I got so mad though, because it is true. I mean, they're gonna get them. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe things have changed. People are really hard drugs now. I don't know what the hell they do.
It's not like the ladder. Yeah, we talked about that. The ladder's different now.
So I had kind of conflicted things. We had family get together, dinner and things, right, and a fire. Like 2 days later, I come up in the yard and there was like a little neon like purse like thing, right, like a little pouch, like a little thing. And I was like, oh, well, somebody must have dropped it when they were leaving. Yeah. So I go over there, pick it up, and I was like, well, let me open it and see what it is. And I open it up, fucking full of needles. Yeah. Like candles, a spoon. Like, man, I was so mad. Like that it was laying in my yard. Yeah,
a using kit.
It was the same time that those idiots were walking up and down our road. Like we're having all the trouble with that. But the dogs had found it somewhere. Like I could watch it on my cameras. I went back and seen like when it showed up, and the dogs had brought it. So I don't know where they found it. It was aggravating because what if the kids had got it, right? And it was like a mesh thing, and like the needles were actually through it. Once I got to looking at it, I was like, "This is bad." Like I could have got poked. I started freaking out looking. But then also it was like even though they dropped it, right, and that was a mistake. Like at least they weren't just throwing their needles down. They had them all in a little bag, like, and maybe they were taking them to that needle exchange. That's like the safest
possible way, right? Like I see what you're saying. Like I would get upset too, man. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you guys the truth. I've thrown needles out the window of a car plenty of times, and didn't get flying fuck where it landed. Used to be real and that's fucked up. That's wrong. Like I'm not proud of that. But when you're strung out like that, that's the reality of the situation. Is you just don't give a fuck, man. You know.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like. I feel like it would be worse if we didn't have, because people's going to get needles. Trust me. You know what I mean? In Florida, you can't even buy needles at the pharmacy. You know, I was down there and you know, and that caused more sharing to go around, right? So if if I don't have access to these clean needles, I'm gonna use dirty needles.
So in a way, you can reduce.
Then I'm gonna create disease and you know, crime. It's all kind of things. So I'm all for harm reduction, but it is a big debate. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people see it as enabling. You know what I mean?
I was about to ask, like, when would you draw that line between enabling and harm reduction? Like, when does it? You see what I'm saying?
Well, see, so like, if I'm on drugs, like, I'm going to use them no matter what, regardless, right? So if I'm getting clean needles from this service, I don't feel like they're enabling them at all, because they're going to use no matter what. So we might as well at least, like, here's some clean things to use. You know, this is a safer way to use, because they're not just giving them needles. If you at the needle exchange, because my buddy Joe used to work there and used to go down there all the time. They're also giving out Narcan. They're also giving out like small food items that don't need to be heated up, socks, underwear, gloves.
I'm starting to think about like Oregon, how they legalized a bunch of drugs.
Yeah.
How they are now, and so I guess taking that into consideration and factoring everything in.
Decriminalizing the drugs is like major for the reducing crime and stuff like that. I guarantee you 100% that never happens here. They will never decriminalize like hard drugs. Like, I don't know. You know, there's some major success in some of those things. So like,
would that tie into harm reduction?
Yes.
Or enabling?
No, that I mean. Harm reduction is enabling to some people, and to some people, enabling is harm. You know what I mean? Like, but in like in Canada, they got lots of safe using sites. So you could, like, let's say this was a safe using site, and we're all 4 workers. You can come here. You bring your own drugs. We're going to test it for fentanyl for you to make sure it's not fentanyl. You're going to sit right there and use it, and we're going to make sure that you don't die. And then you're going to leave. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's some serious success with those things. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, everybody in your community kind of has to buy into that. Like, we need this, you know?
That was one thing I was actually really impressed with. For the first time ever, I went to a music festival in Canada, and it was the first time out the country. It's a funny story incorporated with that. But anyways, we're not going to talk about it this one, though. Went to Canada, though, right?
Yeah. What music festival was it?
It was like techno, like rave
cool,
music,
man.
you know what I'm saying? Like lights and like, you know,
out in the woods.
Tripping, And it was it's huge. Nice. It was rated like, I want to say, one of the top 5 in the world at one point. Cool. But went out there, bought tickets, and when we were like we were kind of just walking around seeing what was going on before the actual festival started, and there was an actual station, like volunteer doctors and nurses, like legitimate doctors there. Like, and there was another section to where they will test anything that you bring over there to make sure it's what you're trying to take. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm trying to take acid. Okay, let's make sure there's not anything but just acid in there.
Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, because fentanyl is serious now. It's in everything. Yeah. You know?
And actually, we can tie into this story, though. So we went, and it is a alcohol-free festival, right? Okay. For the most part, they're just like, don't bring any glass in here, and we're trying to reduce the alcohol use at the festival, just because some people take it and they want to fucking box. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody's fun and goofy when they get drunk, right? I go in there and I have Jack Daniels, Hennessy, and something else. 2 hard liquors.
Out.
So I go in there, right? And it's camping. We're camping in the woods and shit. And it's like, you know, it's huge. It's massive. But I fill up this cup with fucking liquor, and I'm like down half of it. And it's a red Solo cup, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll fill it back up, and I'll kill this one while I'm out there, and it'll be good. It'll keep me good for the rest of the day, right?
Already walking, dehydrated.
Right. Right? But I'm thinking, like, I'm good. I've been drinking Gatorade. You know, I hadn't been, like, you know, I've ate. I'm good, right? Normally, I would be good. I get out there. Tell me why my dumb ass is thinking it wouldn't be that hot in Canada in July. It's fucking 92 degrees. And I'm like, just, you know, just going in. And the festival hadn't even started yet. It starts the next day. Oh, but I just remember down in that cup, throwing the trash, some dude said, "Oh, there was still some in it." Walking by, and I was like, "Fuck no!" Da, 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 da. Take off, recording like the festival. That's all I remember.
Crazy,
bro. I woke up in my tent the next day. Somehow, I had a gauze right here, a tape over it. I ended up in that little hospital thing, and they put an IV in me, and they were like, "Oh, alcohol."
Man.
Yeah. He probably just overheated because it's hot as fuck. But apparently, like, all these people stopped and like, "Oh, is he okay? Like, did he take drugs? Oh, alcohol? Oh, yeah, we'll take him over there." Like, it was just the atmosphere though. Like, everybody was trying to take care of everybody.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about most raves is that is the vibe, because the drugs that those people are doing are like acid, mushroom, where it's like, I care about you. You know, I'm gonna look out for you. And also, alcohol does not go with those drugs because that's severe dehydration. You know what I mean? I was big into the rave scene in like the late 90s. You know what I mean? Me and my buddy Charlie. And we were on lots of drugs. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But I loved the rave scene. Like we, you know, there was no cell phone. So you had to like print out map directions, you know, and that's how we got to these different concerts and festivals and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, it was dope as fuck. I was just like very impressed though with how much like the community in itself, because it's not just like the actual festival and the festival workers, right? It's the individuals incorporated that actually attend them, right? They're like all like, "Hey, I've done acid before. I could see someone fucked up." Like, and they had sections and rooms where if you were tripping, they were like that calm down room. Oh, hey, come in here and chill out with us. And
we'll that's like a top notch rave.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was like it was phenomenal. I was like, cool. Thank fucking God, I went at like a 21 concert, 21 Savage concert, because people would have been like, "Fuck, bro, I swear,
chain's gone." You know what I mean? Like everything.
Car keys gone, cars gone, like everything. So I was very impressed, and I feel like it's situations like that though. Like if I was ever going to do those, that's where I would do it. Yeah. Honestly, like any type of, because I feel comfortable in the atmosphere. And how everybody around me is also on the kind of the same page.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Because I've just recently been talking to Leah about, like, I want to go to a rave now. Yeah. Like, I'm solid in my recovery. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go to a rave sober and have a great time too. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it won't be on the same scale as when I was tripping, right? When I was tripping, I had a fucking blast. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like the music and the lights and the people and the atmosphere will get, you know, on a smaller scale, but still feel good, you know, and then I'll be able to remember everything the next day too.
There's a cool one in Atlanta that I used to go to regularly. Yeah. We never made it out there. I'm trying to take him out there.
We're going to go next week.
Oh, yeah.
Next week.
Let's take the camera, take the mics.
We might. We went out there. I went out there a couple of times on a couple of different occasions, and this one's in an abandoned church.
Yeah. See, that's cool. Yeah.
And they already got the pillars and stuff, and it just looks, it's dope as hell. But they got the basement downstairs. They got the main floor, and they have like a VIP with the outside balcony for people to smoke. Yeah. But that's a cool one too.
Yeah. The biggest, baddest one I ever went to was in Charlotte, and me and Travis Calhoun. It was out just right outside of Charlotte, and it was this big, giant warehouse, man. It was all decked out. It was like you had to hear about it on this, you know, because we like Facebook. None of that was a thing back then. You know what I mean?
Like word of mouth.
Travis found out about it from a guy at the record store, you know, or the CD store. You know what I mean? Like in your ear or something like that. You know, and he was like, "Hey, you guys should go to this rave." And that's how we found out about it, and we went, and it was like, it was crazy, man. Like, man, we had a good time, you know. But that was in a different life, you know. Yeah. But I feel like I would have an even better time now. I'm in recovery and stuff. I really, you know, I know it wouldn't be a dangerous situation for me. I'd go with people that are going to keep me accountable, but you know, I'm at a place where I could go do something like that. You know, I've been to, you know, I go to breweries and stuff like with friends to eat, you know what I mean, and they might be drinking. Like Soap and Laura, we went to a couple. Did you go to that one? Yeah, after we got done mountain biking, you know.
He was drinking chocolate.
Yeah, they got wasted. Like, I was drinking chocolate milk. Everybody's laughing at me, but I was like, "Hey man, fuck y'all." You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was fun. This shit's good. Man. I'm there.
So let's take it 180 and say, don't help them, right? Like don't help them if we're gonna be sober and do our own thing. Yeah, then let's arrest them, but don't put them in jail. No, jail's not the answer. I'm not saying jail. No. We build a facility and be like, look, you need to chill out for 2 years. We're gonna get you clean.
Bro, that's
great.
This is
gonna be rehab or like what, drug use?
Yeah. So like basically arrest them for being a drug addict. be like, no, I like for getting high. Like you don't
You know,
who is getting
different charges of like selling versus using and like the different baggies and all that. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, exactly. So like, pick them up and be like, hey, you know what? You've been at this for too long. You've been through the system, this and that. I see you out here. You're high. I'm arresting you for being high. We'll put you in rehab for 2 years. Help you find yourself. Clean slate. Time. Time is everything.
That's perfect.
That.
That's actually right away when you said let's arrest him. Immediately, I was like, no. You know what I mean? Like, look, no, that is not the. But that would be. That's choice.
If 2 years changing the dynamics of rehab, though, wouldn't it?
You can't let them out.
That's what I'm saying.
Not jail. Jail won't fix you. Jail won't fix nothing. I promise you. We've both been locked up plenty of times. Prison, jail, the whole everything. You don't get better than there. No. Small amounts. Every now and then you'll find somebody that did. Well, look, fuck. Well, we're saying that you did it.
I would say time,
but was
all I needed. Yeah. Like so if they would have put me in rehab. Well, not rehab. If they would have put me somewhere where, like a rehab, but like for 2 years, and I was able to like clear my mind and get back to myself, I would have been like
forced rehab.
You know what I mean?
Would be a great thing, especially if it's 2 years. Okay, because we have a facility for 90 days. That's great, but Levi will tell you that's a small sliver of time.
2 years is like the standard.
2 years is awesome.
That's when I felt. That's when I felt like I was okay. Like, and so back to the recovered or recovery, like I don't feel like I'm in recovery because I hear people talk about like they still want to have thoughts of getting high or like there's so urges, and I never had those. Like after that time period, after that 2 years, I was like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, you know what I mean? And it didn't seem cool to me. It didn't seem fun. Thinking back on the memories of it, it was like none of it was fun for me. And I don't know why I was doing it. There's never any urges when I got out. Like it's, I don't know. It just wasn't, even with alcohol now, like, I mean, I can quit when I need to. Like I always quit for like stomp and stickball season. If I know things are coming up, I don't know. It's different. So like when you hear those people that talk about like, you're in recovery, and I was like, I would say I'm recovered. Like
And when you say it like that, I agree with you. You know what I mean? But like when you first said recovered, like I felt like I explained myself well. Like when I think of the word recovered, I don't think like that. But you're right. And when I use Levi as an example, because the marijuana thing is a big thing, right? So I'm supposed to be working with people, and I'm trying to say, you can't get high, right? Smoking weed will get you high. Yeah. Okay. Smoking weed will get you high, straight up. You know what I mean? Like, but if you want to choose that, that's good for you. You know what I mean? Like, or if that's good for you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna judge you at all. You know what I mean? You can still turn your life around. And then I use Levi all the time as an example. Like my friend Levi turned his life around. He still drinks from time to time. Yeah. He doesn't have a problem like you and I might have, or you know what I mean? Like I'm not encouraging you to go see if you can be like Levi, because that could ruin your life. You don't know. Like you know what I mean? But it's like I feel like you have recovered. When you say it like that, I completely agree with that. You know what I mean? Like, I do. But I feel like for me, like I'm all, and I've set like I'm always out here talking recovery and sobriety and, do this. So I can't. Could I drink a beer? Probably, but I can't get drunk. If I got drunk, I'd be fucked. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Could I smoke some weed? Definitely. I miss that. Like I used to have such a good time doing that. But I'm such a big advocate for sobriety, which is different from recovery, right? Sobriety is, sobriety to me is like the spiritual part. Well, recovery is spiritual too, you know what I mean? But that's why I don't use, I can't use the word recovered, but when you say it like that, you're exactly right. Like, I don't have urges to get high. Mm-hmm. It's so weird because randomly thoughts about using drugs cross my mind from time to time. I'm at the weirdest times too. I remember I always use this as an example when, I got my apartment up there at Soco Creek Apartments. The first I moved in, I was staying at my mom's, when I came home from rehab and stuff, and I stayed there for like a year until I could get like a good spot, a safe spot, Like I really took my time, made sure. And the night I moved into my apartment, I was sitting there and it just randomly popped in my head like, oh, I could get high here and nobody would know. And I was like, what the fuck? You know, like I could laugh about it, you know, because I'm at a good place in recovery to where I can push that thought out.
But it's almost like you're at a state psychologically where you can see yourself having these thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
And then redirect at a third party view of yourself while these thoughts are occurring and be like,
I have control. You know, like you can't control what you think. Okay. There's like think, feel, do. You cannot control what you think. Like that's the first, when you ask somebody that, which one can you control the first? Your first instinct is going to say, think. I control what I think. You do not. You have no control over what comes into your brain. Like your thought, you have control over what you do with it. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm good at now, like if I have that thought, like I can laugh about it. Like sense of humor is big, right? Like we love to laugh, so I can make crackhead jokes about myself all the time. You know what I mean?
Came up. So you said Levi, 2 years like forced rehab, and then I remember from your story that you said you would go in and out of rehab.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until you were ready for it that it started to become like more successful in what you were doing.
And I went for a year. You know, like plus, because I was at Conwell TE for like 8 months, then got kicked out and went to a year-long place. So that's like 18 months. For me,
it's like understanding that each person is their own individual, and one can get forced rehab and be good.
Yeah, you're
the
right.
other one will have to go back in as many times as they would need to.
Yeah.
So I guess like from what I was hearing, whenever you were explaining it, was more or less like just practicing what you're preaching.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to tell people these things, you also have to be like the golden example. So I feel like that kind of ties a bit into it as well.
Yeah, I don't like golden example. Damn.
But this is also me being like a bit insensitive. Like I'm gonna just come out and say it like it is, you know. But I've never been in that situation, so I'm trying to. You know.
So I remember like I told you, was like, is there anything else you want to say? And I was like, yo, I'm not perfect. Like, remember, you know, that's what, as soon as you said golden example, I thought, oh, no. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? Right. I don't use drugs or alcohol, you know what I mean? But I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I you know, but and it's so crazy because, like, Levi knew me before, you know what I mean? Like, I was so unresponsible, untrustworthy, you know, just a straight up drug, the kind of guy that he's talking about they should arrest and send off. That was me. You know what I mean? Like I was bad. Like I stole from and now it's like I'm all about the one thing I got under complete control in my life. The only thing I have in complete control is that I don't use drugs and I don't drink. Like I got complete control of that. You know what I mean? Like I don't fuck with that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? But I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? At all. You know what I mean? I don't want people to think like, oh, Rob's in recovery and he's like doing these speeches and public speaking.
Do you think Cherokee has a good outlet for recovery if people choose to take that path? For
now,
like job opportunities?
Well,
and like
no, not Cherokee. No, I feel like the tribe needs to do better, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm super pumped about the hospital, bro. I can brag all day about the hospital will hire you if you're, you know, give people in recovery a chance. You know what I mean? Like I started checking temperatures at the hospital. I was just checking people's temperature to make sure they didn't have a fever during COVID, you know, and now I'm a counselor there. You know what I mean? Like I've had like three different jobs there.
I think they're doing good with hiring though. I would say there's a few people that I see that have come through, and you know, I don't know that.
One thing about the tribe I know that needs to be better is that's the first thing on there is like, do you have a driver's license? And you know, if you're working a job where you don't need a driver's license, I feel like that shouldn't stop you from getting the job.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Oh yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
No, I just got my license. When was it? Last year, man?
Yeah, I remember
just
when you
last
got them,
year,
bro.
yo.
Yeah, I
you know what I
remember.
mean? Like,
You get mine back in a year.
Yeah.
How about you?
Dude,
5 years?
man.
6 years?
See, I support people that don't have a license. I know the struggle is real. That's hard.
No license.
How can you not get around? You have to get around.
Actually, this could be like a little side quest as well, man. Like, yo, the system is not designed for like to be, you know, right on the road. Like, okay, obviously, as a kid, right? I'm 18. I'm a child. That's like you're dumb as hell at 18. You know what I'm saying?
You don't know nothing.
I somehow managed to lose my license in like 6 months.
Yo, bro, same. I got him when I was 18. Lost him when I was 19. Got him back when I was 42, man.
But I was on the fence, so I got him at 16. On the fence at 17, and then like 18, you're an adult. You know, cleared of all like speeding tickets. You're an adult now. Boom, boom, boom. 6 months. Boom, gone. I'm
Wait, so it was just tickets?
Bro, let me tell
tickets.
you, I'm a speed demon.
Yeah, same, bro. I never had a DUI in my whole life. The only reason I lost my license was for tickets, and then I wouldn't go to court and I wouldn't pay them. You know what I mean?
Bro, I swear, that's me.
Bro, you can get a lawyer and get them back. You know what I mean?
Nope.
No?
Cooked.
Mine was suspended indefinitely, but I got them back. But it took time and it took money.
I just don't understand.
That's all they fucking want.
You just need this piece of paper that you have to pay taxes on so you can drive this vehicle.
Yeah, it's a struggle, man.
It's
if you
weird
don't,
concept.
people don't realize like how important it is to have a lot, like you know what I mean, like I do because I didn't have one for my whole adult life. You know what I mean? Like I just kept getting. I've been arrested so many times for driving on revoked license that it was an automatic 120 days if I got caught driving everything.
Hell, I ain't reached that yet, but they definitely was like.
I had like 16 or 17 convictions, Yeah, because I didn't, I was like, fuck, I need a license for it, man. Let's go. You want to go get some dope? Let's go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I was driving everywhere, man.
But it's fuck. Yeah, that fucking sucks.
That's the first question on the.
But there's people with license that shouldn't be driving.
Though. So I didn't even damn. Like I said, it's just not designed, to have your license back once you make that first mistake. Bro.
Yeah, it was hard. That's why I only got it back last year, and I've been sober 6.5 years. You know what I mean? Like it took 4 years of sobriety before I could, But that was what I was like. I had to work. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I go and tell, okay, I'm sorry, I want to get my license back. It was like, yo, I need to do this, this, and this. And so I did this, then there was these other things I had to do, then these other things. And I just kept doing them. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't give up, And like, I was pumped when I got my license back. I never had a DUI or anything,
I never even, I haven't had a moving violation of any sort since I was 22. Yeah. So it's been 4 years now. Isn't it? You think? I think since it's been like 4 years. I definitely calmed down when my son was born.
Yeah.
And I was already fighting a couple of tickets.
So you was speeding way over the speed limit. You didn't get
the speeding ticket that year. You got the gun charge that year.
Yeah, I know that. That's different though. Anyways. But anyways, it's like, but it was like at that point though, I'm like, okay, I have a kid now, I'm slowing down, whatever. I'm still in the military, so I'm driving back and forth from Georgia, and there's no other way to do it, right?
Oh yeah, you're flying like, through there.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and then it's like Georgia's like, oh, and they don't play. They'll take you straight to jail. No license, say less.
Yeah, I've been in jail in Hall County twice.
When they go, when they tap the top of the car, sit tight. I'm like, oh fuck. We call Kaiser, James, call my homies, But I don't know. It's dumb. Like even a lawyer has stopped me at one point. I was going to court for one, and he was just like, dude, I really just need to see your driver record. And this is just going to keep reading. Like, I mean, it's not even a speeding ticket. They ran your tag, pulled you over, and you didn't have a license.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, got to pull them over, stop them. It's not speeding, a violation other than driving. Yeah. So it's like, it's just going to keep going. Mm-hmm. There's no out of it. And I'm like, well, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
And I've been trying to get like a provisional, but there's stipulations to that. And it's like, just let me get to and from work and go get my kid. That's all I need.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah.
What else do I really do other than that? Stickball and fucking walk down there.
That's why you're able to still get around is because you're not doing things like that you shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a lot of roadblocks. You know what I mean?
And those are the ones that like fucked me in the long run when I was younger and actually started slowing down. It was like, oh fuck, roadblock.
Yeah.
No license.
So crazy thing that happened to me was like So I did things kind of backwards. Right? Like the first thing I did when my first major long-term goal that I accomplished was getting my own place. Mm-hmm. I got my own place. I didn't even have a car. You know what I mean? But luckily my mom worked at the hospital too. So she would come pick me up and I would ride to work with her. You know what I mean? And then I got a motorcycle. Instead of getting a car, I got a motorcycle because I got a good deal on it. And I was like, I'm buying this bike. You know what I mean?
Right.
I felt guilty because I was like, man, I need to have a car. You know what I mean? But I couldn't afford a car. I got that bike for cheap.
And it was a good deal. They helped you out with it too, right?
Yeah. $5,000 for a brand new motorcycle. You know what I mean? Like, damn. It was a fucking Sportster. And I didn't know everybody was going to make fun of me for it until I got it. But all the bike community, were like, that's a woman's bike. You know what I mean? I was like, fuck, that's my bike. You know what I mean? But then I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, I need a car, and I thought she was going to be like, hell no, you know what I mean? And she was like, okay, I'll help you get a car. Not financially help me, but let me get a car in her name to have tag and insurance, and I'll pay for it. And that was like the major, like I felt like my mom saw me as like a good person again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I got the car, and then I had the car for I don't know how many months, right? And I'm only doing, like you said, I'm going to work, I'm picking up my kids. I go to and from my mom's a lot up Wrights Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And I was coming down Wrights Creek and had my daughter with me, and there's a roadblock.
Shit.
So remember I told you guys, like when I get caught driving, boom. So immediately I'm like, I'm losing my job. I'm going to jail. My daughter's going to be traumatized. Like I was like panicking, but I was like trying to hold it, you know, be strong, like, because my daughter's, and it's Dondi who's arrested me freaking I don't know how many times, you know, and he's like, what's up, Rob? And I was like, hey, I don't have my driver's license. I'm working on getting them back. I got a lawyer. He's like, hey, calm down, man. We're not worried about that, man. We're proud of you. He's like, get on out of here. You know what I mean? And that happened like 2 or 3 times only on Wrights Creek. Because I'm not like, you ain't going to catch me like on Adams Creek or this place where I used to get in trouble. This only, like they know, like everybody knows my mom lives up there. Like that's where I'm going. And they helped me. You know what I mean? Like I thought that was so cool. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Definitely like the community helping out in those sense and seeing the effort too. Because that's the big thing that we always talk about is you can talk about it and the action is essential, man. Definitely
you have to show people that, you know, I tell that too to the people that I work with, like when they're in rehab, I'm like, I get to say the mean, rude stuff that the counselors used to say to me, you know what I mean? Now I get to say, I'm like, nobody gives a fuck if you say you're going to do better. Nobody cares, right? Mm-hmm. Because how many times have you said that and then you didn't, right?
Yeah, right.
You have to show people, you know what I mean? Like, and when you're not even like, and Levi would tell you, like, he's been to prison. It really do be like the police, council, like those kind of people that have really see you changing and have your back. You know what I mean? Like it beats the people that you had no idea would have your back, that have your back, you know?
Yeah.
You never know who's watching, man.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, really. I mean, that goes beyond kids and whatnot. I mean, not everybody may be rooting for you, but you know, everybody's kind of, you never know who's watching.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Always.
Any cool findings, man?
Yeah. Tell us something about, we know you've been still digging.
So I'm actually doing something cool now on foods. So,
finally something cool.
Something cool, right? yeah. So,
Big back in the house.
It's the sites and putting things together. It's a huge puzzle, man, and it's really hard and it's overwhelming.
It's kind of overwhelming.
So,
yeah. I would imagine.
I was like, what else could I do? And I was like, foods, like that's important to us. We had that presenter come in and like talk about like feeding, like how we carry that trauma with us. And you talked about like it's in us, in our DNA. Doesn't matter. Like you don't have a choice in it. It came from your parents and their trauma and their parents' trauma. Like it's just in you, it's in your DNA. But like feeding that your ancestral kind of self. So I was like, I'm gonna see where all the food used to be. Like where did we get these things? So
that's cool.
So I'm trying to find out where all that is, and then hopefully be able to get to it. Maybe some of it's still there. I don't know.
You know, you would have been really good to go with us to. Remember we went up north to do stickball, the lacrosse. One lacrosse. Was it one lacrosse?
The most recent thing?
Yeah.
In Washington, D.C.
Yeah. One lacrosse gathering celebration.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what it was. I met an individual up there. Ben Jacobs, I want to say is his name. But he does indigenous foods across the board.
Yeah.
And he's trying to, I want to say, I don't want to misquote his mission or like, misrepresent it. But I'll definitely put the links down below for it, his Instagram. But he's taking these indigenous foods and dishes and making them like packageable.
Oh wow!
Like
that's very
like
cool.
Dinners, like freezer dinners and whatnot. I thought it was a cool concept. Let me pull up the Instagram real quick.
Actually, it's a lot of work.
I'm confused. So the indigenous foods and
like in these other tribes, like for example, Indian taco, right? Our like fried bread with beans and whatever on top, right? Like making you can freeze this and heat it up, and it's like boom.
All right, so I have some like pushback on that. I was watching the council meeting the other day about Tupelo honey and how they were selling ramps.
Yeah,
you can't really mass produce these foods in a way that could like I guess benefit entire groups. I guess, especially with like ramps and like gathering ramps, and a lot of people like take the roots out and they can't regrow the next year.
Yeah.
It's it's a touchy, like, I guess, topic of how do we navigate food consumption of indigenous foods in this area.
Yeah, because most of the indigenous
seasonal.
foods are like wild too,
Yeah,
and like
that
you would
as
gather
well.
them. You know what I mean? You wouldn't. You know, that is cool.
Yeah.
So they're doing they can ship native pantry items and microwavable harvest meals from their indigenous marketplace.
Yeah.
Like directly
So
to
the
your
things
door.
that you could
Commodity
potentially
foods?
package and reheat and
That
stuff. You know?
sounds like
Cheese?
commodity
Yeah,
food.
commodity food.
That's just a fancy way of saying
Yeah,
it. You know,
yeah.
I like the way it sounded. Like that.
Yeah,
Sign
like-
me up. And
Like he said, fry bread.
No.
Like that was commodity foods, like flour. Like
For the most part, yeah. I mean,
that's cool though, because it's like more people are looking into like, okay, these are why we ate this, when we ate this. Oh my bad. Those kind of things are important, you know. And I like that Bear and Louise, when they bring food to that Gadoo Waste program I was telling you about, they tell you why they would cook that, you know, who taught them how, and then when. That was always the thing, was like what time of year would we typically eat this
and
kind
also
of
like
things.
understanding the different time frames of like when pork was introduced. When
Oh,
we started eating
yeah,
fatback.
Yeah.
When it was like the flour with fry bread was introduced. What tribe really started to create that?
I wonder what a typical meal would have been like before colonization. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty. You know,
we kind
even
of touched base on
Just
just
like
a tad.
Yeah.
Last time we had talked.
Yeah.
In the Big Backs clip.
Big backs clip.
But like how what was I brought it up because it was a discussion that I'd had with someone else as well. But it was as far as like we weren't designed to eat fucking
Oh yeah, I do
McDonald's
remember
and
watching
shit.
that now. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
You know, like
Jamie
sugars
brought up
and stuff like that. We're not
Yeah,
your body.
it's not.
That's why we can't
Processed
handle
foods,
it.
Yeah.
oils, sugars.
And Jamie Queen was saying how like fucking you kind of go all day to catch fucking 2 rabbits. And you're burning all these calories just to bring that back to your family. You guys split it and shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that
Or was it-
You know,
That's
Yeah,
a weak hunter. I would have brought back a deer.
God dang.
but I wouldn't have made it, man. I ain't no hunter. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have made it, man.
He's like, there are 2 rabbits? I would
I never been good at
just 2
fishing.
rabbits?
I never been good at hunt. I never hunted anything. Are you kidding me? Like I've never.
You could
actually,
be a good gardener.
I shot a dog
Yeah.
one time. That's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like with a gun. You know that's messed up. But I never hunted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
watch all kinds of survival shows. You know what I mean? Like I love those shows.
You never
know?
know until you're in the situation, though.
Yeah. I'm gonna make it. No,
They-
I
well,
wouldn't.
it'd
I
been
wouldn't
easy back
thrive.
then.
You know what I mean?
It
Huh?
would have been easy back then. They
Well,
talked
they were
about
supposed to come to us, huh?
there was just an abundance, man, of like you didn't have to.
You just you walk
You know
out
what
the
I
door,
mean?
like, oh, you
Oh,
know, there's some animal right there. Pow.
Yeah.
Me last year when I didn't have no money, I was shooting rabbits out in the field.
Oh yeah, and you cooked them
Yeah.
for real?
Yeah,
That's
shot
kinda
a
cool, man.
groundhog.
This man
I've
shot a
never ate
groundhog
that.
out the tree, dog.
For real?
Treated with my
And you
pit
ate
bull.
it?
It was good.
Yeah, I've never had groundhog.
It was
or
like
rabbit, you know?
it was like real greasy roast beef. Like,
Yeah.
That's
Greasy
I mean,
roast
I
beef,
see it
roast
like
beef.
when I watch all them survival shows, and every time they cook
Shoot.
up some wild game, you know, it looks so tasty. You know, I've been all over the world. I've tried all kinds of crazy food. I would definitely try something, even if it was like looked horrible. I'd try it. And
Dude, I
if it
took
is
an
horrible, I'm
airsoft
like,
pistol
ugh,
and
you know,
just
but
shot the rabbit.
for
Damn. Fucking cooking that or cooked it that night.
no, that's cool, man. You know?
yeah, man. Well, any final thoughts? Anything coming up in the future?
Any events you guys want to highlight?
Just I got that thing at the school.
Oh, yeah, the
Super
middle
excited
school.
about. Yeah,
Congrats on that.
yeah. Fidel Rhea and
Phenomenal
Joseph
work.
Ward are going to join me on the stage and talk. You know, it's I'm excited about that. That's the only thing I got announcement going on. Our sober guys group got to be grand marshals in the parade. That was super cool.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I seen that. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely seen that.
Yeah, that was real cool. Me and Joe weren't even excited about it. Like it's really like those guys. Like they got everybody in Cherokee was like cheering them on. Like
Oh,
to
yeah.
see them get to experience that was the medicine right
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean? That was so cool. You know, I was excited about that.
Hell yeah.
You know, shout out to you guys too, man. Your podcast is doing great. You know what I mean? I feel
Appreciate
like
it.
the differences in episode. I think that's really cool. It's like all kinds
You
of
can
shit.
see
you know what I
the
mean?
changes.
Yeah, you never
Oh,
know
yeah.
what's. You know,
Literally.
Yeah.
I like that. You know what I
It's
mean?
good
And
conversations,
that,
man.
that it's audio and visual. I like that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully soon we'll be able to do. I mean, we can already do it now. It's just getting to that point where we're comfortable just separating audio and then putting on like Spotify or something.
Yeah.
So everybody's not gotta look at these ugly faces half the time.
They can just run and walk.
Yeah. That sounds like Levi.
So just imagine.
So pay attention to
We can just start wearing booger masks when we go on.
Oh, that would be kind of cool, like a Halloween one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, that might be cool.
That'd be dope.
Listen, I carved one. That's what for the show. My first one, I did one.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work, man.
So carving a mask?
Yeah.
I bet so, man.
Just with the chisel, bro. Just
And carving one that you can actually be used in it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you know how to make a rattle, like a turtle rattle? Or know people who know how to make them?
I could never do it. I could never kill a turtle.
Tosh is good at it. Tosh
Well,
good
Oh,
at
don't worry about that.
yeah.
Do you know
Tosh,
anyone?
Tosh Welch is good.
Yeah.
He
Because
makes
I got me
great
a couple
rattles.
shells from this past year. That
Yeah,
I'm
Tosh,
messing
man,
around
would
with.
be great. Hey, and if you guys ever invite him on your podcast, man, he's like super educated, man, about all
For sure.
kinds of things, man.
We definitely have a
Yeah.
list. We got to go down and work on that. Part of the problem is just getting people here, man. I'm not sure. You know that it'll get done when it gets done. Or, you know, like it'll happen when it happens. Indian time.
Anytime.
No, it's
Rob
fun.
over here.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I know.
I was
Damn.
3
Late.
minutes. I was
Give
giving
Levi
this guy
shit.
3 minutes. It was damn 6.
Everybody knows that if you're watching this and you know Levi, everybody knows Levi, like especially from our stomp ground. You know what I mean? And for me, I was giving him hell, and then I showed up a few minutes later, and I was thinking that the whole way. I was like, "Damn it!" You know what I mean? Like, well,
I thought it was you. I heard the truck outside, and I was like, "Oh, that's Rob."
and it's
Damn,
Levi.
Levi.
I thought I had the wrong day because I was here first. I was like, what the hell?
Oh,
Yeah.
I ain't never had problems with Levi being late. I threatened him one
Oh,
time
yeah?
on stickball
See?
field. And he ain't never been late.
Now he
So if you're late
starts,
on my
man.
podcast, I'm gonna get you. We're latching up, and next time I'm gonna
But
get you.
when
Man.
did he start practicing in the summertime, or did he
Probably
wait
like
till?
2 days before.
Okay, so at least it's still
It
consistent
shows.
and enough.
Lies, man.
He picked up that one ball and got scared of everybody. He's like, "Oh god!"
Bro, I got so mad at Logan. Did he tell you what he did? He was like, oh, man. He was like, I was going to try to block him. And my bad, man. I blocked him right into you. I was like, oh, no. I was like, I got one guy that's Logan blocked.
Logan did really well, man.
Yeah.
Logan
Yeah,
did
that was his first
time.
year. Yeah,
yeah.
he's strong dude too. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
he'll be good
Dude,
at
he,
playing
He
ball.
prides
Powerlifts,
himself on being
I think.
fast.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, he does. You know,
He prides himself on being fast now. Him and Jamie are constantly
Racing.
ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Something, man. Thinking they're gonna roll each other around and outrun each other, and it's fun, man. But
Yeah.
all right, man. I guess that's it for today's episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you go check out the links down below with the Indigenous One Lacrosse Gathering links, and I'm gonna put down. You guys have any links or anything? Websites or anything?
no, I'm Stone Age, man. We didn't have internet when I was a kid. So.
Well, as far as anything you're working on too, that can be found on links or anything like that, artwork that you could be found on links, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just my socials, but yeah. Even with questions or anything, if you get questions like you're talking about, send them, reach out, whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if any guys out there looking to get clean and sober, hit us up, Natives for Recovery. Any one of the members of Natives for Recovery, be happy to help you out with that. You know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be actually cool too, just side comment, to have like a website with all your artwork on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it don't even have to be like,
yeah, because you're getting big time now, man. For real, you know, winning that's a big deal. I remember when you first started doing the pottery. You know, I got one of his like first time that he was selling pottery. I got a nice little fire pot, and it looks super cool. You know,
where's it at now?
It's at home on the shelf.
Oh, there I got it. He's like, I still got it.
I know exactly. It's right on my shelf in my living room. Yeah,
that's what's
I
up.
was super honored to buy that. You know, but yeah, I've seen the growth in your pottery and art, and that's cool, man.
I need to see
super
that.
respectable. You know.
But all right, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all already know what it is, man. Fuck with us.